Hello, and welcome to episode 125 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, we're talking about how to get experience as a young designer. You may have gone to school, you may not have. And so there are several things you can do to get some experience for your portfolio or for your resume. And we're going to talk about that in the episode. Before we get there, I want to remind you we have some great things for you in the show notes, some downloads, a quiz for you. So don't forget to go check it out. Also, follow us on Instagram at @OurWardDesign and reach out to me with a DM if you're looking to learn a little more about my design mentor. All right, let's get into the episode. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. So, a young designer trying to get experience is always kind of a challenge. I get a lot of emails from students looking to do an internship, which can be a good way to get experience for sure. The challenge that I think a lot of those students can face is that either that they're looking for an internship that is paid, which is not always available to them, or they're looking for a short internship, or really looking for a part-time job. And if you don't have any experience, it's a lot of work for the interior designer to take on someone who is not experienced and take them under the wing, train them. And then if they're only to leave within a couple of weeks, then it's a lot of the designer's time that may not be a return on their investment. So if they're not someone who likes to mentor people or has made it an intentional part of their career to mentor people, then they might not be willing to do the investment on this person. So when I'm working with mentees in the program on trying to get experience, that's why, actually partly why I have sample projects within my design mentor that they can start working on, and I'm giving them feedback as far as their drafting skills, things that they need to learn about project management, color selection, any kind of skill that a designer is going to need from an entry-level designer. They can work on in my design mentor to help give them a little bit of a leg up when they go to a firm, just so that not everything is foreign to them. So if you're thinking you're going to start your business and you're looking to get experience with clients, my typical recommendation is to start with friends and family, get a group text or an email to your friends and family and say, hey, look, I'm launching my career, but I'd love to get some experience under my belt. And here's the one time that I would recommend maybe not charging for your fees in return for experience. So say like, I'd love to style a corner of your house so I can take a picture. If you have a baby coming, I could help you plan to purchase all the items for the nursery and put kind of a design together. So a lot of times family is willing to have you help them or just walk them through if they're purchasing new living room furniture. Maybe go to the stores with them and help them make design decisions. And it really is great to get hands-on experience. The other way, of course, is always your own home. So if you can remodel, if you can refurnish, if you can restyle your own house, those are all great experiences for you. That's often how a lot of designers get started who haven't gone to school for it, is that they have remodeled their own house. People saw the finished product and said, hey, you're great at this. Can you come and help me with my house? So that is a huge stepping stone for experience for young designers. But if you're looking to work for someone else, then you might have to do some part-time jobs here and there to really get into the industry. That's where I would say that having the education is really going to help you with this, because a lot of designers really don't want to hire entry-level designers unless they've had some education, some experience, because the time it takes to really teach someone and stand there and say, like, "Okay, here's a paint deck. Here's how we select colors." Nobody has time for that because they're probably hiring a person because they're so swamped. They don't have the extra time to teach someone how to design alongside them. I would say that a good approach to going alongside a designer and kind of seeing what the industry is like, maybe getting a little bit of experience is to do some job shadowing. So even if you're just doing it for a day, a lot of designers won't mind if you come alongside for a day. They're not really having to show you or expecting anything in return for your work. They're just hanging out with them for a day, basically. Kind of staying in the shadows and watching how they work, listening to the vocabulary, seeing how they interact with clients. Probably it's going to be like an install day or something like that. Because half the time, a designer's really just on their computer most of the time. And it's not very interesting to watch someone do that. So if you're going to job shadow, it's likely going to be a day that they have a consultation or that they're doing an installation, doing job site visits, so that you can actually get some experience from that. If you haven't listened to it already, I would recommend going back to episode 5, where I talk about the do's and don'ts of internships. Interning is a really great way to get experience. It also can open the door to you for working at the design firm where you're interning. That's what happened with my designer. She was an intern first, and then we had enough work for her to stay on. That happened for me when I did my internship. I interned with a local designer, and then once my required internship for school was over, I was able to stay on and work part-time for a couple years while I was finishing out school. So you never know. It's a great opportunity, but there are some do's and don'ts about internships. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes so you can go back and listen to episode 5, which is really good. So yeah, let's go back to getting some experience though. When you're starting out and you don't really have a portfolio to show people, it's where you got to get scrappy. You've got to come up with fake projects that you can design a floor plan and layout for. If you're in school or you've gone to school, you'll have some of these projects that you can show. But if you're not, then, and you're not in My Design Mentor, then you're going to need to come up with projects. So go and measure your parents' house or go and measure your apartment and try to act like you're going to remodel it and come up with a plan, come up with the color scheme, the furniture, do a mock-up board, do a rendering. If you can learn some 3D software and do some renderings, those are images you can use for your portfolio. You can do flat lays and things like that. Just because you don't have a job as a designer yet and you don't have an actual client yet doesn't mean you can't get experience that will put you on your way to get there. Other things that you can do in the meantime while you're looking for clients to come in is to increase your knowledge. And this is part of experience, but you need that hands-on knowledge of the materials that you'll be using. So I always encourage people to go to your local tile showrooms and talk with the vendors there about the differences between porcelain and ceramic tiles. Marbles, when do you want to use glass? When do you want to use mirror? Where can you not use it? They'll be happy to educate you, and then you'll know so much more when you go to select these items for your clients. It also helps you to develop a relationship with these vendors. And then once you do have clients, you will be able to say, "Hey, Mary, I came in and I was asking you all those questions about tile. Well, I've got my client. Can you help me pull together some options for this kind of a look?" And then you have a relationship already, and that's going to be a very key part of your career. So you can do it with tile showrooms, paint, fabrics, furniture showrooms. You might want to become friends with your local furniture store and kind of learn about the different fills for sofas, different styles of edging pillows. And then besides the hands-on experience, which is definitely critical, you also want to do as much online learning as you can. So watching YouTubes about any specific detail of interiors just to help you get a leg up that can count towards your experience as a designer. One other area to consider is volunteering for maybe a community project or at your local church or something like that. If they are in need of refurbishing their spaces, maybe an entry space or the kids' classrooms, then you can volunteer and say, hey, I'll pick some paint colors and, we'll come in and get a team together, work on the weekend to repaint this nursery or something like that. That's a great way to get some more experience. Add that to your resume. We've talked about it before that there's really no threshold for getting into the career of interior design. You just have to have a passion and some natural talent, and you can do it. So don't let the lack of experience keep you from doing something that you're passionate about. You're just going to have to be a little more resourceful and a little more aggressive, probably, about asking for these experiences that you can help your friends and family and have other people take a risk on you. It is a risk because you haven't done this before. And so you're going to be learning trial by fire, learning on the job, as it were. Maybe you're still trying to understand color. You end up painting a whole bathroom the wrong color, or it came out really not the way you're expecting. That is experience. You might need to help repaint that room in a different color, but now you know a lot more than when you started before. So it's great to get this experience on small things, less expensive things where maybe a little manual labor can help take care of it rather than paying for it with money, getting a painter come in and pay for it. So yeah, bottom line is be really resourceful in looking for ways to get experience. Be honest about where you are in your design journey. You don't want to lie and say you've had so much experience when you haven't, because it's going to show the proof is in the pudding, right? So don't be afraid to ask for work. Don't be afraid to tell people you're looking for work and that you're new. If you go to networking events, talk with other designers, talk with contractors, architects, and just say, hey, I'm new. I'm looking for experience. I'm pretty green, but I'm willing to learn and I'm a fast learner. Some people will be willing to take that on and some people won't. So don't be offended if they're not. They're just probably really busy and don't have any bandwidth for it. But there will be people like me out who is willing to give a little bit of time and energy towards the up and coming designers. All right, so that's all I have for today on getting experience. And like I said, My Design Mentor is a platform where you can kind of get an internship/sample project experience if that's something that you're looking for. Go ahead and sign on. I'd love to have you in there. I'd love to help you get some more projects to show other people. So that's all I have for you today. We'll have another great episode next week. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.